Every single time that I take a look at a data sheet, you have to do a whole lot of things to assess it. Something that it's good at, something that it's not good at. If it's a character, what kind of units does it lead? What kind of purposes does it serve? What kind of abilities does it have? What kind of weapons are it holding? And you have to do actually a lot of assessing to find out exactly where the unit fits. A lot of the time, Warhammer is like a puzzle game, and especially the pre-game of Warhammer. There's like the active game of Warhammer where you're sitting there with your friends, you're rolling dice, or you're in a tournament or whatever, and you are actively playing the game with your toy soldiers against another player. However, there's also like a pre-game, and this pre-game you play just with yourself. And it's a puzzle trying to fit together all the units that you have to come up with strategy and purpose and synergies so that everything works together. So how do you do that? What's the best way? Here at Hyperspace Hobbies, we developed something a while ago. The credit here goes to Ian for this method. It's called the Overcharge method. And this all comes from a plasma gun. So the Imperial plasma gun, you would roll a d6, and in the old rules, if you rolled a 1, your character died. But on a 2 through 5, everything was fine. So we devised a system. And the system is, what are 5 things that are great about a data sheet? And what is 1 thing that is not? We try to keep it, for the most part, as positive as possible here at Hyperspace Hobbies. So, you know what? This system actually works. And this is actually by special request that I'm doing this. One of our very good friends of the channel, Devin. Shout out, Mr. Devin. What's up? We were sitting at breakfast the other morning, and he was like, overcharge, overcharge, just yelling it at me over bacon. And so here is an episode of Overcharge. So today I am talking about the Space Marine Chaplain. For a while, I kind of thought that this unit deserved a total brush over, and there wasn't really a whole lot of ups to it. However, I've been working with it a little bit, and it's found its way into actually quite a few of my lists, and I have been loving what it's doing. So, sitting at the very top of the list, rolling that 6, it is so cheap. It's so cheap. Like, the Space Marine Chaplain is sitting right now at like 65 points. It's so cheap. It can fit into basically anything, and it keeps the price tag of that unit really, really low. So let's say you're going to put it into reserves or something like that. The Chaplain's a great character to sling into reserves along with the unit. It's also a great character to throw into a unit that isn't particularly expensive or amazing, and it brings it just kind of up that one little level because the investment isn't high. You feel okay not throwing it away, but placing it into a unit that doesn't usually get that kind of attention. Okay, next, the Chaplain helps you punch up. Because of its litany ability, that ability gives the whole unit +1 to wound in the fight phase. And what that does is that lets whatever unit that he's leading, and like I said from the previous, and what I said from the previous note is it might not always be something really spectacular. And so what it does is it lets that unit punch into things that would usually have no business fighting. For example, a squad of assault intercessors. It's a great unit. However, going into something with toughness 7, wounding on 5s, not so great. However, wounding on 4, so now we're cooking with gas. And you get enough of them, all put together and beefed up by the Chaplain, you can hit hard. This next one sounds sort of dumb. However, I have actually caught players with it. He has an invul save. I know it's silly to say out loud because a lot of characters have got invul saves, but for being so cheap, he has a 4-up invulnerable save because Chaplains wear Rosarius. And because of this, sometimes, let's say your opponent runs into this unit, does a bunch of attacks or something like that, and then dices through the unit, but then they hit the Chaplain, and the Chaplain spikes a bunch of 4-ups. He's not going anywhere. And the great thing about an invul is unless they're dealing out dev wounds, there's nothing you can do about it. So as long as you keep making those 4-ups, he's fine. And while, yes, that is luck dependent, sometimes it happens. And for a 65-point character that's helping your cheaper units punch up, that is sometimes all that you need, because really what you might need is just for him to live one more round. Okay, next, his spiritual leader. So once per game, he gets a point at a unit, and that unit is immediately not battle shocked. And while I used to think very narrowly about this and go like, oh, so he gives them back their OC, that's pretty good. But that's all I really thought about it. And I was like, I don't value it that high, but I'm starting to value it more and more. And it's mostly because there's a lot of permissive rules. For example, stratagems. A battle-shocked unit can't use stratagems. But on top of that, a battle-shocked unit usually can't do actions either. And sometimes you really need a certain unit to do an action because they're the only one close to that objective or that area of the table. And the chaplain being able to just kind of like point throughout the turn and go, you are no longer battle shocked. What that means is that they can suddenly use strats, right? What that means is they can suddenly do actions. It works. It works. It gets you out of a bind. And as long as you remember the rule, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And two, something that I really love about this model is that it can go into a variety of units. It can go in intercessors, assault intercessors. It can go with blade guard vets. It can go with hellblasters and furnace marines. It can go whatever you want. And something that I really appreciate about that is that it gives you lots of options. And once you're at the table, you can kind of pick and choose. You can even build into your list places that it could go, like multiple places, and maybe not signal to exactly where it's going to go, like where a lot of other characters will kind of signal where they have to go. This one is really flexible, and I actually really like that. And we come to the one. What makes the chaplain bad? It's the stats. The stats are garbage, like utter garbage. He's really not that much better than like a regular intercessor. He hits on like 2s with his weapons. Yeah, his weapon's okay. It's like strength 5, aim has 1-2 damage. That's all right. But he's only got 4 wounds, a 3-up save. And yeah, he's got that invul, which is great. But if he gets hit with really anything other than like a bolt gun, it's kind of over. He doesn't really live that long. And you can't count on him to really do the damage that other characters can do. It's kind of rough. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of the video. I hoped that you enjoyed this little breakdown of the Chaplain's data sheet. I hope, Devin, you really enjoyed it, because this is for you, my man. This is for you. If you like this kind of breakdown and you like this kind of tactics talk, throw down in the comments below. Give us a like, a subscription, hit that bell, and help us grow the community here at Hyperspace Hobbies. This is Space Marine Steve, signing out. Good night.